Greetings, my friends. Welcome to the Grit and Equity podcast with your host, yours truly, Dr. India White. I'm so thrilled to be here with you. I hope you've enjoyed your week so far. The solar eclipse was amazing. I think it's helped a lot of us clear a lot of that negative energy, and now we're just thriving in positive energy. I think karma is serving its purpose. So, with that said, I want to now go into some announcements with you before I introduce my rock star guest to my right to you guys. So, first things first is the Grit and Equity Talks podcast. It's going to be featured on the X Factor EDU network with Dr. Matthew Joseph and the Tribe. You can also find it on Spotify. So be there to listen on Spotify, watch it on our social media outlets. Thank you to all of the sponsors and to those that have been supporting us. We're so thankful to have you. On this podcast, we talk about usually if you're trying to close the achievement gap, but you're having classroom management issues, or if your students aren't motivated to do the work, or if you're just an educator trying to figure out answers to help students in general, then this podcast, the Grit and Equity Talks podcast, is perfect for you. I also want to encourage you guys to follow me on social media when you get a chance. My Facebook is Miss India White. LinkedIn is The India White. Twitter is Indie Speak and Teach. Instagram is Indie238. YouTube is India White 123, and my TikTok is Dr. India White, and Threads for the Threads users, which we're still trying to figure this platform out. That is Indie238 as well. So with that said, I also wanted to remind you guys I do have a Grit mini workshop that just launched on the Grassroots Workshops platform with Robert Kaplinski and the Tribe. Thank you so much, Robert, for the opportunity. Check out grassrootsworkshops.com. It's called How to Harness Grit to Help Students Thrive. Again, it's called How to Harness Grit to Help Students Thrive. That is my gift to you guys. So go check it out and purchase your workshop and knock it out the ballpark. Now, I am excited to bring on this amazing guest with us today. We are going to be talking about so many different things. We'll be talking about equitable practices. We'll be talking about students. And so with that said, I want to bring on to our podcast an expert in her own right. She's into mental health counseling. She's a consultant, and she's doing great work across this nation. Patrice Brantley, nice to meet you. Welcome to the podcast. How's it going?
It's wonderful. Thank you for inviting me. I'm already excited. I'm checking out the scene. I'm loving it about the workshop. So yes, I will be checking out. I will be following, and I will be checking out that workshop. Okay, y'all, come on, get into it.
Thank you. So, hey, tell us a little bit about yourself, Patrice. I love your energy.
So just a little bit about me. I'm a former educator. I educated in Miami-Dade and Broward school system for close to 20 years. I left out of the classroom to move into mental health. And my goal in the move was to help educators who wanted to stay in the classroom, but maintain their mental health while they continue to move into their field and thrive.
I heard that, and right now there are so many different teachers that are dealing with burnout and just different situations. They're stressed. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to teach their kids. Lots of deadlines on the table. So, how did you end up in this profession, and how has, I guess, your experience so far been able to help teachers tackle some of these issues?
Well, I actually ended up leaving the classroom because of burnout. The day that it all changed for me was May of 2015. It got to the point that I was that teacher that was so busy being great for everybody else and pushing hard to help everybody else be their better self, right? But I wasn't taking care of myself. And I realized in order for me to be my best teacher standing in front of everybody else, I had to take care of me too. And that day, when I dropped my kids off to lunch, I said, you know what, something's got to change. So I packed it up and I left. And I was like, you know what, something has to change. I left that day and I went to a restaurant with my best friend. And in order for me that day, we sat, and my best friend tickles me. He goes, you never leave your job midday. I go, I know. He goes, something has really happened. And I said, this is the day change has to happen. So at that moment, over nachos and salsa, a breakthrough happened for me. A decision to make a change happened for me.
So tell me about that. Like, did your best friend walk you through it? Like, what went through your mind where you're like, that's it, breaking point? Like, talk to me about that. I'm sure millions of teachers have felt this and they need solutions. What happened?
So at that day, as I'm sitting at this restaurant with my best friend, we're talking about it. And he goes, What's your plan? What's your next? What's your now? And I said, you know what? I'm gonna be very honest with you. I don't know. But I said, I do know this. I'm not walking back in there the same tomorrow, because now a plan has to happen. And when I went home, I'm so glad I had that soundboard. And so many times we don't have that person that's our safe space to come and say, this is how I'm really feeling, and somebody doesn't come and judge you, right?
Yeah.
And in this space, he gave me a moment. He said, pause and let's talk about this. Really slow it down and let's see what you're going to do. And I took that time to pause. We had some good conversations, some great food. And it gave me a chance to kind of pause and just sit in that moment, that feeling, and really kind of do a self-evaluation of, is this how you've been feeling for today?
Wow.
Or is this something that's been going on for a while? And when I really went home and started looking at, past journals and saying, how many days have you really been feeling like this?
Wow.
Then I was able to make a clear evaluation and say, yes, this has been over a number of months. What do you plan to do about it? And that night, I remember I sat up, I made my favorite cup of tea, and I put out a plan. And I said, this is what you have to do. It will not change unless you put a plan into action to make it change. And what I did from that point forward is that I kept saying, now that we've made this opportunity and this option to say, I'm going to put me first and do the right thing to help me stay mentally healthy and be well. Once I started putting that plan into action, I called on my community. And I was like, y'all got to be my accountability partners. Y'all got to be the one that says, hey, you know what? Listen, what are you doing to take care of you today? Because they knew who I was. It got to the point I was the one. I would do this. Hey, listen, guys, it's Friday. We're grading papers. So I would go home and cook this elaborate meal, right? Because I want all my friends to come over and we're going to help grade papers.
Oh, wow.
And then we're going to have game night, right? With a bunch of desserts and adult beverages, right? Because that's what we do. But at this point,
that's awesome. Yeah, awesome. I never did that. I have never invited anyone to grade papers with me.
You know why?
It's so beautiful that you did that. But now I see also how that crosses into your personal time.
That's what ended up happening.
So you never had time for yourself. Like
there you go. And that's why it became a big thing of Friday. We're gonna have some fun. We're gonna grade, and we're gonna do that. But the problem was, it was eking over into my personal life. I wasn't taking care of me. I wasn't giving the best of me to everyone else. It was only in one space. So I had to learn. I had to put that into practice. And so now that's my mission. That's my heart's goal, is to help other teachers who want to stay in the classroom and want to be able to retire successfully and not leave out of frustration and this place of, I just can't wait to get out of here, that they can stay and fulfill that dream that they had, to be that teacher and be that person who came in and made a major impact in those kids' lives and make a change. Wow. People tend to forget that if you don't have a teacher in front of you, all the other professions cease.
Wow. Let's back up a little bit. You're like a burnout coach. You're like a mental health burnout coach. You help teachers to not burn out. You help them to stay in the profession without burning out. That's what you're doing. And I think it happened. It's so powerful because you experienced it yourself. So now you know those red flags and you know how to say, hey, watch out for this. This is how you take care of yourself. Here's some self-care. Here's some mental health, opportunities and ideas that I have for you. Here's some triggers, to watch out for. Like, I think this is beautiful that you're offering this. So talk to me about your work. Like, what have you been able to do since you've left, the classroom space and you've been really coaching and helping other leaders?
So in the midst of this, with this work, this has allowed me to take and really soar with people, to take people from that space of wanting to leave and just say, bump it. This is no longer for me, to getting people to stay in 2 to 5 more years and getting people to see, you know what, this is where I want to go. This is how I wanted to help. I dreamt of being that little girl, that little boy who made a difference in my community, and I can stay and do it now. And even as a personal note for myself, once I actually started walking through the plan that I created that day at the table, it helped me, one, get rid of the unwanted weight, because my thing was, I didn't drink like everybody else. I ate. I was that person that was like, is that cheesecake? I was like, oh, that's cheesecake. Come on, let me have another slice. That was me, right? Because I ate the feelings. I ate the emotions. I ate the frustration.
Wow.
But then not only did it give me a chance to get rid of that unwanted weight, it gave me a chance to get back to finding out who I was and rediscovering that, hey, I am amazing and I don't have to stop being amazing because of this job. The other part of that really
Wow.
honed it in for me was once I got through this part and I started working with other young teachers or older teachers, it gave me a chance to see them regain that light, that ignite that flame back for them. I think the best compliment that I've heard from one of the people I've worked with in the past has been, you gave me a chance to actually be able to retire and not
Wow.
lose it all over one day.
Yeah. Over
So
one
for
bad day.
me,
Right.
that says it all to me,
Yeah.
because I know if somebody would have asked me in 2015, May 12th, 2015, I'd be like, bump it, retirement and all. I will figure it out. I will be a greeter at Walmart if it'll give me
Yeah.
peace. That's where I was.
Peace.
But now I get a chance to do this part, and I love this piece. I
Wow.
love to be able to sit with people and not just do what I call a drive-by session. I want to walk with you through the whole
Yes.
experience, so that
Yes.
when you stop and you say, you know what, this is the process, this is where I am, this is how I've been moving through this, that you get to see your vision of paradise, not just mine, but what you say, this is where I want to go, this is how I want to move. That's the mission for me.
Get like monthly sessions. You should do like monthly sessions and helping people with mental health. I think it'd be great. It fits you well. And so I hope everybody is listening to this. I hope you're spreading the word. Give this to a teacher that's burned out. If you're a teacher that's burned out, take a look at this. If you're an administrator, you've got some teachers that are on the edge of burning out. Play this clip for them. Give them Patrice's information, because I'm telling you, so many teachers need a Patrice in their lives. Because when you talk about, I want to break it back down. I'm going to go back to when you talked about eating your stress away. Listen, I am sure several educators have some way to deal with stress. Some people work out. I remember going to a session. Emmett Smith had to speak. We were at a Black, Brown, College Bound conference, and I was speaking there, but Emmett Smith was speaking. Some Congress people were speaking. It was a great turnout for BIPOC males. It was wonderful in the community college level. And I remember one young man went on, who was about 19 years old, and he spoke about how some of his stress is through working out. And he was telling Emmett, he's like, I don't know how to stop working out. Like, I just keep working out. And the guy's like buff, right? So Emmett's like, bro, what are you running from? Like, what is it? You know, like, what's up? Like, I just thought it was so funny the way Emmett just helped him understand it's okay to take a break. You don't have to work out every single inch of the day. I've been there too, where I've worked out like an hour and 30 minutes and like every day, like just nonstop, morning, night, and it becomes addictive. And it also helps you deal with stress. So some people deal with working out, right? But then some people eat. So when I'm super stressed, I've noticed that, like, and I know others probably have been like that, like, pass the cheesecake, pass the chocolate cake, pass the ice cream bar, pass the bag of Tostitos and salsa. And, and it's like, how do you deal with that? How do you help teachers and other leaders, administrators that are dealing with stress, and they might want to turn to eating like how we have? Like, what advice do you have for them?
So some great ways to help yourself when you find yourself having that stress eating or emotional eating, because they kind of go hand in hand. So many times we don't realize the stress eating starts because you don't know how to address the emotional pieces that connect to it. Or you figure, if I say this going to end up with me being written up, or I might end up under a brown jacket like they used to do on Channel 7 with Rick Sanchez, right? But a great way to handle that is how you actually walk through it. If you actually go through and look at, what am I eating? Because remember, what you eat fuels your body for your success. So I started off with little pieces for myself. So instead of going and eating the cheesecake or having the whole cheesecake, I had to help myself. I would say, you know what? Switch this up. Instead of doing the cheesecake, and don't get me wrong, some parts of this I had to learn. I had to learn to switch it up, because for me, there's nothing better than a slice of coconut cheesecake. Now, come on, let me just tell you right now. But in that process, I had to learn, instead of having this cheesecake, you need to switch this up for fruit, because that's going to help you be better. I definitely would say to anybody, grapes, blueberries. Blueberries are known to help you have a better mental space. Switch out the blueberries if you want, or mix them with some walnuts, because that helps to cut down in the area of dementia and Alzheimer's. So you want to have those pieces for yourself, so that not only are you taking a better care of yourself and what you're eating, but you're helping your future self have a better future because mentally they're
Wow.
clear. That's one part. Then the other part about it is I used to always tell myself, because I like this company, but they're not paying me no money yet. So when they start paying me, I'll shop them out. But they have a cherry drink that I love, right?
Yeah.
And for those who know me, that is my thing. If it's ice cold, I'm ready to go, right? But what I started doing for myself was replacing and switching out. Get that bottle of water. Have that water. Put a fruit, and not just a fruit flavor.
Right.
Put some actual fruit in that water to get your body lined up. Switch up how you do this. Lemon is a great one, but another one I love that really works well, that helps to build your body up immune-wise, pineapple. A lot of people don't realize that. Put one piece of pineapple in an 8-ounce container of water, and guess what it does for you? That helps to boost your immune system, so you're not getting sick as often, because we know if you're in the school system, you're always catching something, right?
Yeah.
But you want to build yourself up in that process. But then also you want to take a moment during your day to get that vitamin D. A lot of people don't realize how important that is, not just for, oh, it feels good, I'm outside and it's warm, but it also helps to cut down the depression in your life. It helps to boost your mental health back up. If you're having moments, and if you're one of the women in that certain age group like me, we ain't gonna talk about that age, but that age group, right? Get you some St. John's wort, so those flashes are not tearing you down every 5 minutes. And that can also help you not be as irritable in your day.
What is it called?
St. John's wort.
Okay.
So you want to have those things. You want to give yourself those things. And then make it a part of your day to take care of you. Even if it's a 5-minute thing, let that be all about you. I am very big on the power of 5. That is my big thing. Wow. I love it. I tell people 5 minutes for yourself can do so much for you. Wow. The goal is not to just stay at 5. It's to build up. And a lot of times when people come in, they sit with me and they go, okay, so you're telling me 5 minutes. I say, well, how many minutes are you carving out for yourself now? And they go, none. I say, well, let's try this out. Right. Because let's honestly be honest. None of us take the time to take care of us. We stack everybody else on our plate. Then we get mad, and then we become resentful later because we've given everybody else our best, and now we're mad with what's left. Yeah. So start using that power of 5. It's a quick little tip. Find 5 minutes for you. I don't care if it's taking a moment. If you're a coffee drinker, enjoy that coffee without nobody else in your ear. If you're a person of the word, get into that word and read your scripture for those 5 minutes and just sit and soak in it. Let it talk to you. If you're a person who say, I'm just going to sit in this moment and meditate for 5, stay in that moment. Soak it in. So that when you get back out to the rest of the world, you have that moment that you've actually recharged, reset, and you've rested before you've taken the time to conquer the rest of that world. So that's the first piece. And then the other part about it is, for me, after that power of 5, be honest with yourself. Yeah. Let's not try to put these unrealistic goals. You have enough of these unrealistic expectations being thrown at you left and right in your day. Right. Take a moment and be honest. Hey, I couldn't get to this today. And don't get me wrong. I know that there's some people in our lives, higher ups or whomever you're dealing with, who may say, well, I expected this and that. But every time don't mean I have to exceed that today. You got to give yourself that opportunity to take care of you. A big thing I love to tell people, take your email off your phone. Oh, really? People don't realize. Yes. I'm going to tell you why. Your work email becomes a thing that you start to hate. I remember when I first left out of corporate, because I left out of the school system and I went and worked into a hospital system, because I was like, I'm going to help more people this way, right? And I remember the first day when I finally left and I said, oh, I'm taking this off. I was so happy to take off that app because I didn't have to hit a dings all night long. Yeah. I couldn't even have a restful sleep because I'm over here trying to look and see, oh my gosh, this is due. Yeah. I know. And we know sleep is so important, because when you get a restful sleep, you can come in and do the job that you've been called to do. So you want to give yourself those little pieces. The little pieces add up to great impact. That's why I push this.
This is very powerful. I could listen to you talk like all day, for real. Like you're helping me, with time management. I talk about, and I want to maybe spin this as well. This is about grit and equity and, helping our students and helping our teachers. Their teachers want to be gritty, but how do they also find a balance? And when we talk about grit, we talk about having great resilience in a certain amount of time. So what advice do you have for teachers of how to balance grit levels so that they don't burn out? So you can still get the job done. But, these are some strategies maybe to help them with time management.
So a great way to do that and keep that grit going and being that greatness that you are, that you've been designed to be from day one, right? Is chunking. Give yourself, like we talk about with the kids with reading, chunking the words, mini chunk those activities for yourself. And then when you mini chunk those activities, take a moment and see, what can I delegate off this plate? Sometimes we're so busy trying to do it all, be it all for everybody that we forget we are enabling others, but not empowering others. So now we got to learn how to empower. One thing I discovered, and I'll never forget this, because I was one of those teachers, I got it. I'll run around. I want to make sure, right? I got to touch every bit of it, right? And one day, I had one of my little ones come in, and she said, I did it. And I said, I'm sorry, you did what? She said, I got all our stuff set up for our morning routine. And I thought about that for a second. I said, wait a minute. This child has been in this room with me long enough to know exactly how I run this, how to set this up, what to do. And again, I'm aging myself a little bit, y'all, so look past the gray hair. But at this point, she had watched me long enough to see how I set up the stuff for the morning work, how we laid out this. She even got to the point that became a part of the routine. And she was like, we got it. She would get her and two other little friends.
Right.
And guess what? It was something off my plate that I didn't have to run around and make sure everybody had a journal notebook out. I didn't have to make sure everybody had a sharpened pencil. I had all this done. And guess what that did for me? That freed me up for the morning, that if I had that parent that walked in my door and said X, Y, and Z, I could actually answer that parent, and it didn't have to turn into a whole conference because I could talk to you for that moment.
Mm-hmm. Powerful.
Now, wow. Along with that, after you look at your chunking, after you look at your delegating, you want to look at, where can I get the bang for my time? Because sometimes we spend a lot of time on meaningless stuff and we're thinking we're making great impact.
Wow.
When you can easily just stop and say, is this a task that's going to really like push me to my next level? Most time, no.
And sometimes
so you got to be honest with yourself.
Tasks. Sometimes we like them. We like being in control of some of those things. We've got to learn.
You can like them, but do they help you get to where you need to be?
Right.
So I'll give an example. One of my tasks that emails. I'm that person who I want to make sure my email box is spotless. But I'm gonna waste how many hours trying to make sure I have a spotless email box when I got something over here that really needs to be taken care of, that needs my full attention, that I can really work on.
Right. And it's there's times, like, I know, like, even doing social media or things like that, it's tempting to want to just handle it and do it all. But like you said, prioritizing. And I think like when you talk about email, and going through things like that, those little tasks, there are ways that people can still do this and still check off the box that it's done. But it should be during times like little stuff. Like, for instance, you're pumping gas, and maybe your other hand is free. You can clear up your emails or something. Or maybe you're waiting on a plane in the airport and you've got some downtime, and there's not really much to do. You can pull out your tablet, whatever, and start working. There are ways, like finding those times to compartmentalize and to really utilize your time, wisely. So I think it's very interesting. You mentioned chunking and delegating, which is one of my favorite words, delegating. And so with that said, you talked about, we're going to go back to this with teacher burnout. We're ending the school year, and some teachers they're trying to decide if they're going to go back into this field or if they're going to, build their own business or do something else. What advice do you have for them as they're ending up the school year to make sure that they don't burn out and make sure they come back?
So for those who are sitting at the crossroads, I want you to think about it. If I leave now, is it going to benefit me? Am I going to leave out in the blaze of glory? Or am I going to leave out stumbling, trying to figure out my tomorrow? And when I say it in that way, because I know so many people are at that crossword piece, if you're talking about leaving, what's your next? Do you have a plan in place? I know that's the big thing people love to talk about now and say, start your own business and do all that. But please note, if you jump out here, you better have quite a few lifesavers in place and some parachutes. because you don't know what that will look like on that side. But for those who say, I am going to stay in, I want you to look at what did this year give me as a harvest? And when I talk about your harvest, I'm talking about what were those things in this year that you said, you know what, I rocked that. I did my thing over there. And I know my kids made excellent gains. But then also, not just for those kids, what did I learn about myself in this year? Do I keep going and doing the same old template that maybe is causing me to be stressed out? Or do I change up and do something a little bit different? And then also be honest with yourself and say, did I take advantage of my support system, around me so that we can do these things together? So many times we want to be that one who's doing it all out there and being the all-star that we forget if we work as a team, I can make this a lot easier for myself.
Yeah.
So we want to do that. And then another piece of that is if you realize I really need to go and seek help, seek it. I think that's the biggest thing that I would scream from the rafters. If you need the help, seek it. I remember for me, when I got to the point when I was just like, I got to go, I got to leave. I did the EAP route. And I'm going to be honest with you. The school system I was working for gave me exactly a whopping 5 sessions. And then they expected me to come back and be, amazingly great after that. And I was like, 5 sessions did what? I just gotten to the good scratch of what was going on. But there are ways that when you do this, if you step outside of the so-called normal box or the EAP box, you can meet with someone like me and we can say, okay, let's walk through this. Let's look at what this plan talks about. How we're going to help you be that amazing teacher that I know you are. Or how am I going to help you move to your next in the way you want to go?
Wow.
And that's the goal. You want to be able to have someone who says, I'm not judging you. I want to help you to move and be propelled to your greatness, whatever that looks like for your vision.
So this makes me think about then, what about teachers that they might have like a mental health stigma? Like they might think like, oh, well, if I'm getting counseling, I don't know, like people might crack on me because all of a sudden I have a counselor, or I have a therapist. What advice do you have for them?
Well, the advice I have is I'd rather have the conversation with somebody who is objective and willing to be a listening ear than listen to the foolishness of the street and not get what I need. And you have to remember, we're in a space where mental health is being talked about just as much as fashion on runways. Wow, this is your time to step in and really know that I'm okay. It's okay not to be okay, but it's not okay to stay not being okay. It's good to stop and talk to someone and say, I really want to talk about this. And let's all be honest. We've all had that girlfriend that we like, girl, let me go talk to her. She got all the answers, right? Because I don't want to pay nobody. I get that. I totally get that. But here's the thing. How many times is that girlfriend going to have an open ear and go, okay, we back at this same thing again. Okay, and let me hit the record. Here we go. Bing, repeat. Yeah. No. Go to somebody who's going to sit with you and say, let me work with you. Let me talk with you. Let me walk with you in this process. And it's okay to do that. Part of the stigma is we're learning that, and I'll say this for me. I think the stigma was that people always would use and look for words such as crazy or things like that. It's not that. Let those words go. The word now is, and I'm going to give you my phrase I love to say, I am a spirit living a human existence. And I've had some things happen to me that I need to talk to somebody so I can be set free of that.
Everyone,
that's it.
Everybody
has something,
and that is human. We have some trauma, something that we've got. Even the richest, most well kept of us, we still all have something that we need to discuss. Money does not solve all things. Money does not bring happiness. If that was the case, why are people ending themselves, unaliving themselves when they're billionaires and millionaires, right? There are mental issues that we all need to be honest about and explore, and to understand, like you said, that just because you're exploring this doesn't mean that you have to feel condemned or like something's wrong with you. I highly recommend that everyone have either a therapist, a coach, somebody to talk about their issues.
I totally agree with you in the reference of people think money cures all ills. Now, here's my view with that. Money doesn't kill all ills. Money makes life a little sweeter. But if
Yes.
you don't deal with your mental health, guess what happens to your money? Your so-called money dwindles because your health is not good. Because how many of us, and we all know this happens, how many of us will do this? Girl, I'm gonna go have some retail therapy. Well, that means you got some other stuff going on deeper than what you buying over here at the Macy's.
You're true.
And shout out to Macy's if y'all want to talk to a sister. I like y'all. So another part of that is if I'm going to the store and I'm spending money on junk food or, ice cream and stuff, there's something deeper there. I need to deal with that so I can hold on to that money or at least figure out the eating properly in that process. Until you deal with the root, that money is going to do nothing but be a soured fruit. That's it. Because the money is going to be wasted because you're not dealing with what it truly is.
Wow. This is powerful. Retail therapy, there's video game therapy, there's people that are casual drinkers that, just they try to make it look so wonderful. And there's certain people that are undercover, unfortunately undercover alcoholics, it seems, but they try to spin it off as, no, I just like to drink. I just like to, and it's like everybody around them could see this is more than just a casual drink. Like you have to visit the root of what's going on, and so I think that having mental health, counselor like yourself is key for many different successful people that just need another person to talk to and, need another idea to move forward in so that they're not wasting all of their money on retail and other areas, as mentioned.
I think as you talk about it, and I think this is the part that people don't realize, having a drink or two drinks, even three may be fine. But when you find yourself drinking because of how the day went and the bottles are getting bigger and the glasses are getting bigger, something's wrong. Or they're becoming more. And then the other part of that is being honest with yourself. Why am I holding this glass? I think that's the biggest piece because, society says drink and celebrate, right? Society says drink and celebrate. Drink when you're miserable. Drink when you're this and that. But here's the key. They're not telling you that at the end of that sip could be so much more. Fatty liver, cirrhosis of the liver, diabetes complex issues that actually look like diabetes, but actually are drink-related illnesses that people don't talk about. They also don't talk about how it tears up the family structure and home, because for some people, the drinking gets so out of control because you're not expressing the issue over here. You're taking it out over here where you feel is safe.
Wow.
So we got to start having these conversations and really digging at the root instead of looking for the quick fix Band-Aid or pill to deal.
Wow. So then for educators that are just kind of wanting to have a hope and leaders that are wanting something at the end of the tunnel, what advice would you leave them from this podcast?
So what I love about this podcast is always hope. That's the one thing you should never give up on. There's always hope. There's always a light at the end. Even when it looks dark, just keep looking for the light. And I do believe from this podcast, what I want to leave you with is there is someone who is willing to walk with you through this. There is someone who's willing to be an ear. There is someone who is saying, I want to be a part of your success story. But what I need you to do is to invite me in to be a part of their success story. That means you can't get caught up with what the stigma is or what you think they would say.
Right.
Invite that person in who's willing to say, I'm going to walk with you and help you be the best you that you desire to be.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for that. I think it's beautiful, and we're happy to have you. You're definitely welcome here. And how can people reach you? I see you have on your background www.3smovement.com. Can you tell us about that?
So www.3S Movement is the website where you can reach out to me. That's where you can set up counseling sessions, or either one of my favorite sessions I call vent sessions. If you say, you know what,
Yes.
I want to counsel right now, I just need to get this off my chest. A vent session is the place to do that. I think so many times people just feel there's one type of counseling and one type of box, but some days you just need to get some stuff off your chest. So come on, let's vent about some stuff. The other part of that is at that particular site, you get an opportunity to meet, for those who are educators, you get to speak with an educator such as myself, a former educator as myself, who knows what's really happening in those classrooms, who knows what's happening in those schools, who are not just saying to you, oh, Is that how that makes you feel? No, I understand. So let's talk about how you're going to work through this. What does that look like? And then the other piece of that is if you decide, you know what, I really like this, I want to go deeper, and you say, I want to learn, Patrice, let's talk about these in some recovery groups. I offer one. I have a free teacher recovery group starting April 10th. It is for 4 weeks. I want you to join me so we can start talking about some of these activities, some things you can do to help you actually start to recover from your burnout. And if you say, hey, I want to go deeper, then we offer workshops. I go even deeper into the workshops, because in the workshops, I want you to leave with a personalized plan to help you work through your burnout so that you can be your best, not what's left. So as we get into these pieces and we dig more and more, I want to be able to be a part of that support system from you. I want to be that cheerleader for you. I want to be, as I like to say, your hype girl. I love that piece because I want to see the best in you. If you can't reach the website and you say, you know what, I want to hear her voice, call. I don't have no problem. Call me, okay? You can call 216-356-1031. That is the business line. You can always call, say, hey, I really want to chat with you. I want to know how we can connect. And we can set up an appointment so we can meet. I want it to be something where for you, this is the piece where we connect and we get to grow and go and be better.
Thank you so much for sharing. Now, this is the right number, right?
356. Take the first one. It's 216-356.
I'm so happy I asked that. Okay, so Patrice's number, guys, 216-356-1031. She's offering free group sessions. She's offering vent sessions. This is amazing. I might have to schedule a vent session.
Hey, you're welcome anytime.
This is just fabulous. Also, visit her website, www.3smovement.com. This is how you can connect with Patrice. And Patrice, thank you so much again for joining us on the Grit and Equity Talks podcast. And again, for you guys, again, just letting you know, the Grit and Equity Talks podcast, it will be featured on the X Factor EDU network with Dr. Matthew Joseph and the Tribe, and it can be found on Spotify and on social media outlets. And also, there's my social media information. If you missed it at the beginning, you can follow me on Facebook. There's LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, all of that good stuff. But like I said, I want you guys to really reach out to Patrice. She's offered some wonderful information. She's even offered her number for you for direct contact after this podcast. And so with that said, guys, take care, stay gritty, and I'll see you next time. Thank you, Patrice, for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It was a true pleasure.
You're welcome. Take care.